So, how do you start writing? It's not about getting it right in the first draft. In fact, nobody does. Every single writer I know has this mantra. It's mine too. Write and revise, write and revise. Revision is such an important part of writing. You never get it right in the first draft, you know. It is a draft. It's just a draft. You write, you think about it, walk away from the text, come back to it, revise it, ask for feedback, revise it, look at what's missing, look at what's not coming through. It's important that you let the ideas not just simmer, but, you let it take shape on paper. Don't be set on a single way of starting a story. Don't be set on having to tell the story in only one way. Let it flow. Look at what comes naturally. While revision is something that's a lot of hard work, it's going back to it, looking at each word, looking at the sentence. At the same time, it's also a fun experience. You see things develop. You see characters develop. You see the relationship between two people, two key characters develop. And you can do all of that through revising. Write, revise, write and revise. So if you want to be a better writer, there are a couple of things you should focus on. First, set aside a time every day to write. You don't have to write too many things. You don't have to write too much. Don't beat yourself up if you can't write like 2 pages or 3 pages. It's just a paragraph. I tell myself a paragraph a day. I tell myself just let me develop one idea a day. Give yourself manageable goals. Only you know what works best for you. And then set yourself a time where you know you will be able to dedicate it to writing. It could be early in the morning, it could be late in the evening, a time that you will not be interrupted. Have a routine. Like for me, it's my coffee and my journal, and it's a routine, it's a space, it's where I write. The routine helps tremendously because the routine gets you into the writing space. Get away from your screens. Get away from all the distractions. You need that space. You need to get away from what's going to stop you from starting to write this little creative piece of text. Pick up a pen. Pick up a journal. Do it the old-fashioned traditional way. Write by hand. I find that when you do that, you are able to let your ideas flow. You are stepping away from all the other distractions, right? Set yourself a time, tell yourself 15 minutes, I'm just going to sit and write. But don't write on the computer. Get away from the screen. Write in a journal. The bottom line, if you want to become a better writer, find a way, find a time, find a rhythm to start writing every day. So you have this idea. You've got all your notes. You've got all sorts of bits and pieces. You've got photographs. You've got your history notes, historical notes. You've got newspaper articles. You've got the oral interviews. You put it all on your table, right? And you get your coffee too, of course. How do you then start writing? Where do you start? A good place to start is through free writing. Free writing is writing nonstop without a goal or prescribed idea necessarily. You just keep writing. You don't stop. You don't pause. You don't question yourself. You don't second guess yourself. You just write. You know the idea. It's in you. You just don't know where to start. Write what comes to you naturally. I think sometimes my fingers know what to do before my brain does. After about 10-15 minutes, read what you've written. The idea is there. Don't just focus on the story, because when you focus on the story, what happens is you often get stuck because you don't know what to write next. You don't know what's interesting. Try writing a backstory. In fact, backstory is an incredibly important part of your story. Don't tell yourself you've got to start from the beginning, from the first sentence, from the introduction, and go through the story in order. What you can do is to understand your characters, understand your stories better. Why do you think your character is going to do what they're going to do? Why do you think this couple are going through this particular experience? What could their conversation have been like? You've got the content, you've done the research. So write the backstory. Write a backstory for each of your characters, and within it, something will emerge. Backstories can help you find your character's voice, how they feel, how they think, why they do certain things that they do. It's not just what's on paper and what the reader eventually reads. It's what else goes into the story. It's creating a robust character, creating layers in your story, creating that mystery in your story. Often I find that after you've written one piece of text, write a moment up, right? Write a moment up, write a dialogue, a piece of dialogue. And when you're done, pause, stop. But don't do it for too long. Don't sit there and simmer and take too long, right? Do it in 15, 20-minute timings and then look at it. Underline that one line. Ask yourself if there is one line in this text that is crucial to the story, one line that is important, one line that I cannot do without. Pick that one line. Underline it, circle it, put everything else away. Start your story with that line. Start that moment with that one line. Start on a fresh piece of paper, right? Fresh page. Write that line out. What do you need to add to this? What else will tell the story? How are you going to expand on this one line? What are the characters doing? How do the characters feel? What's going to happen next? Is this line part of the conflict? Or is it part of the resolution? Where are you going to position this one line? Think about it and then start writing. Don't think that you have to be a great writer to start writing. Don't think that only some people can write. Only some people are born talented. In fact, there is a story in all of us. There is at least one story in all of us. And that one story is something that only you can tell. What's important is that you start writing. You start with a moment. You start with a dialogue. Anything that speaks to you, anything that comes naturally to you, just get started. You've got the characters, you've got the backstory, you know what's most interesting. So lean in, enjoy the process, and start writing more.